I'm Steve Johnson, News Director of theDove TV. Watch more videos from the Dove Newsroom at thedove.us.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and of course we've all been watching with complete shock and horror the videos that have come out showing high officials within Planned Parenthood discussing the selling of baby body parts. I'm delighted to have back with us today Brad Mattis. He's the president of Life Issues Institute, as well as president of the International Right to Life Federation, and the Terry Schiavo Life and Hope Network. And he also hosts Life Issues commentary that you hear on the Dove Radio Network. And so, Brad, nice to see you, friend. How are you?
Well, good, Perry. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Wow. You know, we're just kind of reeling from seeing these videos, and I understand there are more to come. First of all, your response.
Well, finally, America is seeing what we know have been going on behind closed doors all these years. Finally, a bright light is being shined on the ugliness of abortion and the blood and death that's involved. And now, not only are they killing hundreds of thousands of innocent preborn children every year, now they're dissecting them and selling off the parts for money.
All right. Now, as you know, and you probably have heard the pushback from Planned Parenthood that these videos have been obtained illegally, so they're going to go after the obtaining of the videos more than the content of the videos. But it seems now that even with that argument on the table, there's a move within Congress to stop the funding of Planned Parenthood. Have you got a feel for that movement?
Yes, you know, it's typical shoot the messenger when you don't have a message to come back with. That's what they're trying to do. But pressure is building on the Hill in Washington, D.C. to defund them. We expect a vote in the U.S. Senate as early as possibly this week. There's much more incentive in the House to defund Planned Parenthood. They're getting over $500 million a year from your and my taxes, and that's almost $1.5 million a day, every day, 7 days a week. So there's a great incentive to unplug this giant of the abortion industry from the federal trough of money.
How can a liberal defend not voting for this?
A liberal? I'm not sure how they can defend anything associated with this. As Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood, tried to talk about the tone of her staff member that she was atoning for or apologizing for, didn't fly with the American public. They saw on their screens as they watched the video this abortionist, top abortionist for Planned Parenthood, sipping wine and munching on salad and talking about how she's going to change her method of abortion to preserve certain organs that are on that want list that day.
All right. Now, let's go back to the law, if we can, just for a minute, Brad. We know that there are partial birth abortion restrictions, let alone the trafficking of human body parts, and they seem now to have violated both. Isn't that enough alone to shut this company down or this organization down?
Well, you and I would think so, and a majority of Americans would think so. But when it's involved with politics, then it's a different animal entirely. On the Hill, they'll probably need 60 votes in the Senate to stop funding, unless it's tied into another bill like transportation or something. We've heard talk of that possibly being done. Then, of course, it's got to get past a veto by the president. So politics, in the face of all this ugliness and this evidence of what they're doing, is still an uphill battle for us for justice to reign.
You know, those of us who've been on the life issue, fighting for the life of the preborn all of these years, we have known and heard of stories of this happening. Now that we got videotape of its evidence, people still don't believe that Planned Parenthood does that amount of abortions, let alone do this kind of practice by dismembering these babies and selling their parts. And wouldn't the wouldn't the purchaser of these parts also be guilty?
Oh, absolutely. But what we're trying to do is to keep the light on Planned Parenthood and deal with them, take away their federal funding, and then we can deal with the middlemen and the researchers at another time. I think it's important for us all to focus in on Planned Parenthood as the source of these. And Americans who are still in denial probably won't be by the time all of these videos have run their course. There's about 10 more that's going to come out, and Planned Parenthood's own legal team are suspecting that one of them will include the actual dissection of these innocent babies on video for the whole world to see. So I think it's going to get much more graphic, much more worse than the evidence that's shown. And I think in the end, with prayer and much work, we can successfully, stop that funding.
It appears to me, Brad, that the good Lord has given us an opportunity to somewhat redeem ourselves on this issue, to stop it. I mean, this has been the very thing we've been waiting to see to happen, as horrifying as it is, but now it's been exposed. Do you think we can seize the moment?
Well, I certainly hope so, Perry, because that's what I've been telling my fellow pro-life leaders and my staff, that God has given us a golden opportunity to make sure that everybody knows what we know, that they understand. And I trust and hope and pray that that's going to be the case. Planned Parenthood's brand has already been so tarnished in 2 weeks, more so than we could do in 2 decades. And when you talk about this mass education, viral videos, and in today's technology, even with the media trying to hide this story, I think it's still getting out, and I think people are going to understand. But what you need to do is take your outrage and translate that into contacting your senators this week and asking them to stop funding the Planned Parenthood.
Do you think it'll get pushed over into the presidential campaign? I mean, this would be a classic question to be asking a candidate during one of these debates.
I certainly hope so, and I fully expect that it will. I mean, you've got a major development regarding one of the most controversial issues of our time. So I think political discussion is going to be there in spades. I can see it in the debates between primary candidates, and I can see it in debates before the election with the presidential candidates. And if Republicans understand this issue and take it head on and show the pro-aborts for the extreme people that they are, they will come out on top.
You know, one of the things that was so revealing was the cavalier attitude of both of the doctors that were interviewed. Not only sitting there eating a salad, sipping wine, and just a very cavalier attitude, but even going as far as saying, geez, I'd like to buy a Lamborghini as a result. I mean, what has happened to the conscience of America that we would lower ourselves to this? I mean, it seems to me that if we want to save America, we better stop this one, then God maybe will bless us again.
Yes, and the time is very short. God's patience only goes so far. And those that have been involved in this, Perry, just think about it. For decades, they've been killing millions of babies, and their conscience is seared. You know, the Bible tells us that for the unrepentant heart, God gives them over to their evil desires. And I think that's what we've seen here, that they've been in it so long and done such evil deeds that they don't recognize what is good and what is bad.
All right, let me take a break here, Brad. When we come back, I'll give you the question. You can ponder it while we're taking a break, and that is, can we trust the leadership of the House and the Senate to follow through with this? Because, like you said, if it doesn't come to the surface within this week or the next week, we may be forfeiting this opportunity. We'll be right back with Brad Madison in just a moment. He's president of the Life Issues Institute. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back, and our special guest today, and what an honor and delight to have him back with us, Brad Madison. He's the president of Life Issues Institute, and you hear his commentary on the Dove Radio Network. By the way, lifeissues.org is their website, lifeissues.org, a tremendous resource. Go there, support them, and help them in any way you feel led to do. Brad, do you think we have the leadership to carry this through to a vote? I say that because I know that the constituents out there are certainly up in arms, and some politicians have shown some genuine concern. But at the end of the day, it's going to take the McConnells and the Boehners to bring it to the floor for a vote, and prioritizing it as a must vote ahead of other issues that are on the table. You think we can get it there?
Well, to our advantage is that this is up front and center with millions of Americans. But the only way they're going to perform as we need them to perform, they're working for us, is to make sure they feel the heat. And that's why it's really important for everybody who's watching this to contact their senators and their congressperson and ask them to defund Planned Parenthood. We have that contact information on our website at lifeissues.org. Just click on resources, and it's right there. You can contact your congressperson or both your senators. But it's really important that right now that you be doing that, and then share this information with others and have them contact their elected officials.
Okay. Are you doing a petition?
No, we're not.
Okay. I know a lot of other people are, and I applaud them for doing it. I just say to our viewers and listeners, make sure you know the organization that is doing it, and you can trust them with your information. Life Issues would be one of those, but if you're not doing it, that's fine.
So many, we just didn't need to.
Let's look at the process here just for a moment, Brad. I would assume right now that we would have a bill get through the House and the Senate, would probably be vetoed by the President. But that doesn't end the fight. I mean, it carries now over into the campaign, which, quite frankly, could be one of the greatest things that ever hit the campaign, because it's really going to identify a person. But I don't know how the President can justify vetoing this. What do you think his excuse would be?
Well, he'll fall back on the tired old rhetoric that pro-abortion people spit out, and that's this decision needs to be kept within the confines of her physician and herself and her God, whoever that is. But what we're talking about is brutally, violently killing unborn babies and then dissecting them, chopping them up in pieces to sell their parts off. Once this visual and imagery is there in the mind of the voters, I don't think that they can pull that lever without thinking about the horrors that they had seen. This is definitely going to be a presidential issue if Obama opposes or vetoes this. But keep in mind that as a state senator, he opposed legislation to give basic human care to babies that survived an abortion. So somebody with such a cold and dark heart probably wouldn't have any problem vetoing legislation that cuts off funding for Planned Parenthood, which he is a big ally for.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think that, well, first of all, have you dissected Planned Parenthood's budget so that we can get a, I mean, we know that's 530 some odd million. I mean, $500 million of our tax dollars are going there. But they always hide behind, well, it's women's health issues that we provide. And do you think the whole issue of stem cell research or tissue research will be part of their argument for justification?
Oh, it is. And normally what we hear is that they do all kinds of services to help women as far as breast exams. They used to say they did monograms. The word escapes me. Yeah. Checking women's breasts for tumors. Right. Then it came out that they don't even have that equipment in any of their facilities. So they were lying about that. In the latest annual report that Planned Parenthood did, it shows the numbers of abortions going up to over 327,000. It shows them getting $528 million from the government, you're my tax dollars, over $500 million. And we also saw those other services decline, such as breast exams, STD exams, and other things, prenatal exams, as much as 50%. Some have dropped. So It is total bunk for them to say they're valuable to the nation because they provide all these other services. We also need to keep in mind that there are hundreds of other agencies now in every state that provide these medical services and more, and we don't need Planned Parenthood.
So they're not even providing a basic mammogram?
No, they don't have any mammogram equipment in their facilities. They were telling people, even the president was saying that we provide mammogram services. And then when people looked into it, there were none in any facilities, so they had to stop saying they did that.
All right, the other battle is going to be the other media that is not giving this exposure. So this is where social media and personal contacts really come into play, don't you think?
Right. But in today's technology, Perry, we can get around the old dinosaurs of the liberal media, like ABC and CBS. We can use our social media networks to get the word out, and that's why everybody can play a really effective role in this, in making sure that your Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, let people know what's going on. Share those links, share those images, and share those quotes by the other side that they're hoping to raise enough money to buy a Lamborghini with the blood money that they're generating.
All right, let's fast forward. Let's assume we get a conviction. What happens? I mean, is it just against those people that perform that, or is it against the organization, or both? What are we going for here?
Well, we're going for defunding Planned Parenthood of all federal tax dollars, and on the states going after state tax dollars. And then we're also going for corporate funding of Planned Parenthood, and that is beginning to drop like flies as this word gets out. That's another thing that hasn't been addressed yet. If we can get rid of all of this funding, about half, 41%, is government funding alone. We're going to see some bankruptcy situations because Planned Parenthood has been building mega abortion mills all around the country in preparation for Obamacare and federal funding of abortion. With all these mortgages over their heads and without this funding, Planned Parenthood is either going to be greatly curtailed or go bankrupt. And they are the largest and most aggressive lobbyists on the state level and federal level for abortion on demand. If they're out of the picture, Perry, we can end abortion in America much sooner than we would otherwise. This is critically important.
No question the Lord has opened a door here. I want to come back to corporate funding. I mean, this is an opportunity for people. Now, they used to have a list on their website. They've taken it down of the corporations that were supporting them. But I don't know if that's still available, or if your organization or others have listing of corporations that funded them. But boy, what an opportunity to send letters to those corporations and see if they continue to dry up.
And what we need to do, Perry, is some of these corporations are coming back and saying, well, they have matching grants where if one of their employees makes a donation to Planned Parenthood, then they match it. Well, they are still funding Planned Parenthood, and they're trying to get around funding Planned Parenthood by saying it's a matching grant. We can't let them get away with that, because when they fund a matching grant, they're giving money to Planned Parenthood.
All right, how much of Planned Parenthood money that they collect, whether it's from our tax dollars or corporation dollars, goes back to politicians? You ever figure that one out?
Well, they have a separate entity for PAC. It's Planned Parenthood Act, I believe, is their PAC. But then they have a resource of donors that they go back to and raise money for their political action. National Right to Life does the same thing. They have their C4 and C3s and their PAC. Planned Parenthood is no different. But the thing with Planned Parenthood is when you get all this tax funding, you can concentrate more on raising money for your political activity and raising funds for pro-abortion candidates. And that's exactly what they do.
Do you know, Brad, if there is a list of the various names of their PACs? Because anybody can pull up an FEC report of a candidate and see if they've received that money.
Right. Well, you can do a Google search for Planned Parenthood Political Action Committee or Planned Parenthood Act, and you should be able to get that information.
Because it seems to me that that would be another source of really making something stick when we start following the money to a candidate's coffer.
Right. Well, once we've made a real example out of Planned Parenthood, that's what we have to do, is we have to follow the money to the corporations that are supporting them also, and then finding out which candidates are in lock, stock, and barrel with the Planned Parenthood pro-death philosophy.
Let me just say to our viewers and listeners again, lifeissues.org is their website, lifeissues.org. It's a tremendous resource. Go there, take advantage of what they're making available to you, and support them. Brad, now that these tapes are out, how big is this issue? In other words, we've seen a couple of doctors. Is it just one or two, or do you think this is happening on a much wider scale throughout Planned Parenthood?
Oh, it absolutely is. It's operating on several levels. We don't know to the extent of how many are involved, but I would venture to guess that most Planned Parenthood surgical abortion facilities are tapping into this as a source of income. I know some of these middle groups that are collecting that tissue are getting around to Planned Parenthoods like drug salesmen would be in a doctor's office, and they're telling them you can make some money, lucrative money, by making this area available for us to come in and harvest tissue, trafficking unborn babies, of course.
Do you think we'll start seeing some resignations within Planned Parenthood?
You know, I don't know. I think if the heat gets hot enough, we may begin to see those. What they've done in the past is simply taking them from one place and put them in another a few weeks later when the heat cools down a little bit in the media. But this is something different. We've never experienced this kind of pressure on Planned Parenthood. They certainly haven't, and I don't know if they're prepared to deal with it. So we'll just have to wait and see, Perry.
Yeah, I just think this is a result of years of praying and fighting in behalf of the life of the unborn. God is answering the warrior's prayer and opened this door, and hopefully we rush through it. All right, so I really don't. You said there was basically 10 more tapes maybe coming available. Is that reliable to say that might happen? And are they going to drop these strategically throughout the campaign? What do you know there?
Well, the person who's responsible for all this himself over the weekend mentioned the number 10 and mentioned the number 12 as the total number of those. And of course, Planned Parenthood attorneys are expecting that one of those will involve the dissection of babies in one of their facilities, because now they know that these people were in that area, and they're trying to prepare ahead of time to soften the blow against them, I'm sure.
Wow. Thank you, Brad, for what you do. Thank you for being one of those warriors out there. I want to say to our listeners and viewers again, lifeissues.org. You can hear his commentary on the Dove Radio Network. Go to their website, support them. Keep up the fight. Let's stay in touch and let us know what we can do to help you, friend, okay?
And keep everybody praying and contacting their senators this week.
All right, thank you, friend. We'll be right back.